Yeah, what's up? Well, if you're asking, hey, why are you doing the Jake Paul video after the Tate video? This fight happened first. I don't care. I didn't have time to make this because after this fight I went to bed, right? And after the Tate fight, I just needed a rant about that while it was fresh in my head. Now, for Jake Paul, man. Jake Paul, Anthony Joshua. Let's talk about it. Let's really break it down. Let's really break it down. So, man, I think a lot of people hate on Jake Paul way too much for no good reason. He was annoying on Vine, but it's pretty much it. I mean, yeah, he beats up on some of your favorite fighters when they're washed. He beat Silva and beat Old Man Silva and he beat Old Man Mike. Man, there's one thing I don't understand. Not a single one of Jake Paul's fights has ever been rigged. There's no proof of it. And there's nothing to suggest it. Oh, the Tyron Woodley KO. One KO of the year on some boxing thingy. And it was an amazing KO. Like, it's weird that people think, oh, Jake Paul got a flatline KO that looked really good, so it must be rigged. Why? Just because he happened to be an influencer before he turned boxer? He has been boxing for, 8 years. Or he's been boxing for 8 years, and he's really talented and has learned really quickly. And is he on juice? Is he on steroids? I don't know. Anthony Joshua was most definitely on steroids. A lot of boxers are on freaking steroids. A lot of athletes are on steroids. So it doesn't fucking matter. Was he on steroids? Maybe. Who knows? But for a guy who's been training for 8 years, no, in general, Jake Paul is a fighter who's constantly improving. He is a good boxer. I don't give a fuck what your stupid, uneducated, non-fight experience opinion is. He is a good boxer, plain and simple. He's like top 35 fighters in the cruiser. He is probably like a top 35-ish fighter in the cruiserweight division. If he fought a guy in the top 25 of cruiserweight, I would think that it is a good matchup. I don't care if you disagree with me, but from what I've seen of Jake and what I've seen of the current cruiserweight division, I think it's very possible. And could Jake be a ranked fighter, top 15, top 10? Maybe in a few years. Maybe he'll Jake is a guy he'll have his prime when he's like in his mid-30s. Right? With how late he started boxing. He started boxing did he start that? 20? Yeah, started boxing at 20. And it's not super late, but it is pretty late for boxing. Those guys start when they start young as fuck in boxing. But anyways, man, anyone who says, oh, this is what happens when you fight a real boxer. Do Ryan Borland and Andre August not exist to you at all? These guys are solid, unranked cruiserweights with good records. Good records. Guys that Jake should be fighting, he has fought. He's allowed to have fun money fights. Let him do his thing. Oh, it's disrespectful to the sport that he's fighting old Mike Tyson. Why? Why is it disrespectful to the sport? Why? And the thing is, are you going to do anything about it? Is boxing going to do anything about it and say, oh, you can't fight a guy who's this much older than you? No. Should there maybe be something like that? Maybe. I mean, they did have a fucking clause that Jake wasn't allowed to knock Mike Tyson out. Oh, what are you talking about? Mike was clearly holding back. You're a dumbass. I'm sorry. You just are. Watch that fight again. And Jake hurt Mike multiple times. And that's a 60-year-old Mike Tyson. Why do you think that he would somehow beat Jake? Jeez. 60 freaking years old. And he got wobbled multiple times, and Jake he stopped the pressure. As soon as Mike was wobbled, Jake immediately went to the center and kind of smiled at him and touched gloves, and he started back up again, and Jake was holding back a lot. He was holding back quite a bit, and he's trying to be careful with poor old Mike. And Mike was doing his he was doing his best. He was doing his best. Oh, but why was he biting his gloves? It was almost like he's an old man. Yeah, he's an old man. He's gonna have weird habits like that from fucking brain trauma and shit. He's gonna have weird habits. Alright? Of course he's gonna lose to Jake Paul. And dude, there's a comment I've seen that he lost to Anthony Joshua. You think this is the guy who beat Mike Tyson, huh? No, this is the guy who beat a 60-year-old man who happened to be a boxing GOAT back in his 30 years ago. Half of Mike Tyson's lifetime ago. When he was in his prime, right? And the thing is, you shouldn't be hating on Jake for this. Anthony Joshua was a heavyweight world champion in boxing just a couple of years ago. And AJ's still one of the best heavyweight boxers in the world. Is he a little bit past his prime? Maybe. But at the same time, who's he losing to? Oh, Usyk, the arguable GOAT of the sport, and Dubois, who's been killing it. Maybe at most he's slightly past it. That doesn't matter. He's still one of the best boxers in the world. And this is never a fight that Jake was going to win. And it's stupid to act like that. And it's stupid to think his fights are rigged. It is stupid. There's no reason. There's no proof. Except, I dislike Jake Paul because, I don't know. I think a lot of people mistake him for his brother. They think that he found the woods, right? I don't know YouTube's, I'm new to YouTube. I don't know what they're okay with me saying with. But the Woods situation, that was Logan, not Jake. That was Logan, not Jake. Logan is the guy who scams his fans and is a bitch. Jake, is he annoying? Sure. But, Logan's a genuinely bad person. Jake is just a little annoying. And, I'm not even that big of a Jake fan. I just think Jake haters are fucking stupid. And people who, shit on his boxing don't know what they're fucking talking about. Right? And boxing fans, do you guys even watch your own sport? You guys are some of the most stuck-up assholes in sports. Maybe the most. What else you got here? Oh, yeah. This is never a fight that Jake was going to win. And it was impressive that he lasted for over 5 rounds with AJ. And we found out that Jake has an insane chin. One of the craziest chins maybe in boxing right now. I know it sounds crazy to say. But dude, Jake's chin, freaking insane. He got knocked down 3 times by Anthony Joshua and got back up 3 times. And then he got knocked down a 4th time, couldn't get back up. His body gave out. He tried to get up. He tried. He couldn't. And as he was getting up, this dude was sticking his tongue out. Fucking broken jaw sticking his tongue out. You gotta give Jake his props, right? And I think his chin isn't the only reason why he was able to take I believe the same shot that flatlined Ngannou, right? Jake was up against the ropes and was using that Philly shot. And Jake's movement was better than Ngannou's. Or does that mean I think he would beat Ngannou in a boxing fight? No. Ngannou would beat Jake Paul in a boxing fight. But the reason that it took Joshua longer to finish Jake because of movement. And he was trying to survive. And he was trying to find any path to victory that he could, even, making it dirty and shooting fake takedowns and kind of faking a nut shot. And because of that, you can kind of say he's a bitch. But, he's a bitch for cheating, but he's not, an actual bitch. Because the average person is a way bigger bitch than Jake Paul. And in terms of having heart, he's not a bitch at all. He's got a crazy heart. The guy got it over and over again. And he's a smart fighter. He did what he thought he had to do to try and win. And he was doing the right things. And he caught AJ with a couple good shots here and there. Some good combinations. And AJ was smiling and said, oh, this is actually good. And actual boxers, right? Actual boxers, including Anthony Joshua, who fought him, are impressed by Jake Paul. I have a newfound respect for him now. But man, similar shot that KO'd Ngannou with, and Jake didn't even go out cold. That's due to his chin. Not just due to his chin. He wasn't stuck in the mud like Francis. He was also up against the ropes. And it also broke his jaw, so it didn't, it didn't necessarily, it wasn't able to, KO him because it was less than the equilibrium, and it just snapped his jaw, and the jaw snap kind of counteracted him, being KO'd. I don't know how, I saw a comment that sounded really sciencey and explained it, and it does make sense, but I don't remember how. Anyways, Jake impressed me with his fight IQ. Oh, no. I'll finish. Another reason why Francis wasn't able to finish him. What the fuck, jeez. Another reason why you didn't get flatline. Okay, so he, chin, ropes, movement. He was using, I know his hands were down. People complain about his hands down. It got him to round 6 with Anthony Joshua. And that Philly shell defense and using that head movement, that shit was working. It was an unorthodox, but it was what worked for Jake. And it's what Jake did everything he needed to do and everything that he could do. And he tried to win. An unwinnable fight, and he tried to win. He didn't care. He didn't care that he got knocked down 3 times. He got back up. And he was calm under pressure. And he was rolling with shots well. And Jake looked calmer after he got knocked down 3 times than he did at the start of the fight, being all jittery. Because then, it was he was still trying to win, but that fighter spirit, that shit kicked into him. He started landing, and he started throwing back, and he started, trying to trade. But then, Joshua was coming back, and he was, all right, I gotta go back to my defense. Oh, I gotta go up against the ropes, finish up. Oh, and now I'm done. I'm out. Because it's Anthony Joshua, and I'm overwhelmed by his size and skill. Jake Paul is a cruiserweight at best. By the way, I better never see this man at heavyweight again. He says he wants a cruiserweight world title. That's not happening. But he could be ranked. Yeah, Jake was rolling with those shots well. He was rolling with the punches well. You know what I mean? He was rolling with the punches well, so they weren't landing. Even when they were landing, they weren't landing, how they were landing on Ngannou. You know what I mean? Because Ngannou's, kind of, I don't know, a little too willing to take shots. And we just kept stalking forward. Whereas Jake was on the back foot and moving and trying to conserve his energy with the hands and was starting to come back late and arguably won round 4. Arguably took a round off Joshua. Arguably took a round off Anthony Joshua. That's a win for Jake. Jake was always going to lose. Jake was always going to lose this fight. This is an unranked cruiserweight versus a former heavyweight world champion. A guy who was heavyweight world champion just a couple years ago. And Jake impressed me with his fight IQ. With his fight IQ and his survivability. Alright. He was smart enough to understand that, in order to survive and outlast AJ, that he had to fight on his back foot. And, his footwork and his head movement, looked great. He showed that he is in it to win it, man. He's not going to wilt early like a bitch, right? Is he a bitch for cheating? Yeah. But in terms of heart, you can't call him a bitch. He was trying to use his boxing IQ to the best of his ability to find a path to victory. He was trying to do whatever it took to win. That was Jake Paul's first thought. Was, I need to win. And I'm going to do this. I'm going to try these things and that thing. I'm going to try and, on the back foot, only hit him when he's doing this. And, he was really fucking trying, man. He was doing his absolute best and trying to stick to the game plan, mixing up when he needed to. And, as I said, it's hard to call him a bitch. You can't call him a bitch for cheating, but at the same time, you got to respect it, in terms of, his heart. Because there's two forms of being a bitch, right? There's being a bitch for just doing things that are just shitty, like cheating. And there's being a bitch, bad heart-wise. So he's a bitch in the first way, but in the second way, he's got great heart. He's able to survive 3 knockdowns from AJ. And, he stayed calm on wobbly legs. This guy stayed calm on wobbly legs, stuck with a game plan. And, at the end of the day, went out of his shield, freaking smiling, had his tongue sticking out. After he got knocked down with the KO blow. And, his unorthodox defense and movement, was part of what saved him from getting a flatline. And, as I said, this wasn't a winnable fight for Jake. But Jake didn't give a shit. He still tried to win. And he was a good sport about it, too. This guy was a good sport about it. It's good shit on Jake for even accepting the fight. And, man, this is a great look for Jake, man. This is a great look for Jake. He gained a lot of respect from the boxing community for this. I get it. He was doing some goofy shit. He was stalling for time here and there. The illegal bullshit with the, the clinch is fine, but, it's the borderline, takedown to shoot. Right. And the thing that was funny is, he was getting knocked down and, instinctively, grabbing the legs. That's weird bullshit. Who would win in an MMA fight, Joshua or Jake? Probably Jake, because the wrestling experience. I hope I don't get shit for that. MMA fight's different from a boxing fight, guys. Come on. But AJ could still win. But I think the wrestling would be too much. I don't know, but at the same time, physicality, training. I don't know. Yeah, he's doing the goofy shit. What else? Yeah, but he was doing the goofy shit because, he was fighting Anthony Joshua. He's doing whatever he thought he needed to do to try and win that fight. He cares about winning before anything and didn't mind, making it dirty. I don't like dirty fighters. And even though this video is kind of defending Jake, I'm never going to defend a fighter's dirtiness. Although I'm defending Jake, fuck him for being dirty. Do I understand why? And yeah, I understand. But it doesn't change the fact that you're a bitch for being a dirty cheat, you bitch. But in terms of, he's a bitch, but he's got a lot of heart, right? Yeah, man, I'm also surprised at how humble he was after the fight. He didn't look upset, almost at all. I guess it seemed a little bummed, but, it lost well. He gave a decent post-fight speech, said, I want to be a cruiserweight world champion, that's the next goal. And he gave a decent post-fight speech to the guy who was heavily concussed and had a broken jaw. Very impressive, in my opinion, man. Because what? Whoa. What's impressive? Oh, yeah, it's impressive that with how concussed he was able to, stay humble in the post-fight speech, and he didn't cope or anything. He even said, I felt great in there, Joshua, is better man than I, whatever. I don't remember exactly what he said, but shit like that. I don't know, he was being humble about it. He was a good sport about it. But Jake, usually people aren't, smiling after a loss. And it's yeah, it was good, it was a good experience. I'm glad I had this fight and whatever. And then, Joshua had a cool moment, after, Joshua got his hand raised, he went over Jake and raised Jake's hand. That was the only time where I'd say Jake looked actually bummed out when Joshua raised his hand. Because it is, a nice gesture. But, think, you lose like that, you get KO'd, and then your opponent like raises your hand, and like you're not some legend of the sport, and so you just have a legend of the sport like kind of in your mind like pity raising your hand, even though Joshua, he meant it out of respect. I mean, Jake was like, of course, he was just like Bundy was like, this guy's raising my hand. This is kind of embarrassing. I mean, I get it. That'd be interesting as well. But man, yeah, I didn't think he would be a poor sport. I'm surprised like how good of a sport he is. Not just because of it's Jake Paul, but also at the same time, like as I said, he was heavily concussed. And I've spoke to guys when they're heavily concussed, after KOs and shit, and usually they don't know what they're fucking talking about at the time. Jake's got a crazy chin. I think he'll be safe from severe brain damage, hopefully, for Jake. I mean, with how well he was able to, like, talk afterwards, crazy. And don't anybody in the comment section be like, oh, well, maybe that's because, like, he wasn't really, like, hurt or I don't know. I'm trying to think of other excuses that I want to address that people are going to give to hate Jake Paul. I mean, Jake Paul got his fucking jaw broke. What else? Yeah, I don't know. Overall, what do I think about that fight? It was, I mean, as a fight, first few rounds were like boring, and Jake was moving back well and was like conserving his energy and like only throwing when he needed to, and his accuracy was good. That's another thing. Jake's accuracy was good throughout the fight. I know that, of course, low output, but he needed to be low output. He wasn't trying to swing for defenses. But the thing is, when like, and Jake was also smart enough. There's something I need to add, like not to use too many counters, and when he would counter, immediately get out the range, because I don't know, just like trying to like counter big shots from Joshua. It's not a great idea, and I mean he didn't do that, so I don't know why I phrased it in that way, but yeah, good shit on him for that. Don't even remember what I just said. This is the end of the video. I promise you'll get more MMA content soon. I'm going to break down Peter Yan versus Merab Dvalishvili 2 tomorrow. Yeah. That's it.